To order the regular meeting of the City Council of Newman for the August 14th date. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Councilman Hutchins.
Father, we thank you for this night. We just ask, Lord, that you'll be with us and just give us guidance as we work to do the business of the city. Be with each and every person here tonight, and we just thank you and praise you. And I just ask this all in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Kate.
Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, we'll go item 6, ceremonial matters. And I believe we have one, badge pinning and Officer Renal Singh. Chief?
Evening, Mayor, council members. It is my pleasure to introduce to you again tonight Ronil Singh. Ronil is accompanied tonight by his parents, his father Veer Singh and his mother Rohini Singh. You previously all met Ronil about a year ago in July when we swore him in as a reserve officer. And at that time I told you about his accomplishments and how he got to this career and his life and what led him to law enforcement. So tonight I want to talk to you about what led him to the full-time officer position, because we reserve pool. We had a couple candidates in there. This young man, over the past year, has worked part-time. He went through the full field training officer program, partially on his time, partially getting paid through it, but a lot of the time was volunteer time through that FTO process. And then he was able to work the streets for us, fill in shifts. He had always a phone call away, hey, somebody called in sick, can you come out? Sure, I'll be there in 30 minutes. So you know he only worked part-time, a couple days a week. Although, over the last year, statistically, every month he was either number 1 or number 2 in statistics for citations, arrests. He's a hard-charging officer who's going out there doing great work, a tremendous asset to our department and to our community. I'm sure you guys have all seen him around in the black and white with the lights on and somebody pulled over.
Heard about it, too. No, just joking.
Not only is he doing his own work, he's always willing to be a team player and help out other officers if they need something. He's willing to step in, help out their investigation, fill out paperwork for them. We are so fortunate to have a strong applicant pool in our reserves. We have another reserve applicant who's very strong. Hopefully, in short time, we'll be doing the same thing. But I'm very excited to have Ronil on our department as a full-time police officer. Put in the hard work and the dedication that led him to tonight. So with that, we're going to do another law enforcement oath of office, and I'd like to call up his mom after that for the badge pinning. So we're going to go to the front, and you're going to face everybody like you did last time. So if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly affirm.
I, Ronil Singh, do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Ronnie. Ronnie, you will come back. And they did save me by bringing cookies and cake, and punch is on its way being delivered right now. So if you guys want to take a quick break and and it's his wedding anniversary. I mean,
All right.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Welcome. You want to take?
Welcome.
Couple minutes, just to, I think
Yeah.
his parents
Why
are.
don't we take about a 5-minute
and I
break
think
real quick?
take some pictures.
All right,
There is cookies and cake
We're on
if
break.
anybody's interested.
5 minutes.
Where do you want us? In the front.
Be nice, huh? I think we're probably good. There are a couple more that I think the final candidate is going to be nice. Sorry. To be clear, they'll probably just do it straight across. But we're going to work on it. We've got pictures. It's kind of what we're If the council approves it, that's what we're like that.
Let's rock.
Time to
and
go
roll.
back to work.
Are we through? We got work to do.
And our attorney's charging his extra.
That's right. That's right. She's charging us extra.
She's probably still gonna get out earlier than wherever her apartment is.
We move fast.
Yeah.
We move
Yeah,
fast.
you can go by Paris and wave at Doug.
Good idea. Drop by.
Okay, we'll continue
done
with our
about
meeting,
midnight.
and we'll go to item number 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council, now is the time to do it. See, now we'll go to consent calendar. Item 8A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions set by title, approval of the warrants, approval of the minutes of July 24, 2012 regular meeting. D is consider approval of the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, otherwise known as CAPER, relating to its fiscal year 2011-2012 past activity, and open the 15-day public comment period. E is approval of the home sub-recipient agreement. F, adopt resolution 2012 next to number declaring certain personal property surplus property and authorizing disposal and/or sale of property. G is report on the Stanislaus Elder Abuse Prevention Alliance event at the Downtown Plaza. Council direction.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent calendar as is.
I second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Is that what you wanted to hear? Okay, we'll go to item 9, public hearing, and we don't have any this evening. Item 10 is regular business, report on historic map preservation. Stephanie, you got some good stuff.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you is a report on historic 1895 wall map that was found at our old City Hall at 1162 Main Street. The map measures approximately 4 feet 5 inches by 4 feet 8.5 inches and depicts Stanislaus County parcels and cities, of which Newman was one of the largest cities in the county at that time. The map has been authenticated by both Bonhams and Butterfields, an internationally known auction house, as well as Karen Zucker, which is a respected conservator in Oakland. In its present condition, the map has been valued between $1,000 to $2,000 and can be higher should a collector desire it, which is kind of the case with anything that's collectible these days. Staff explored the possibility of restoring and preserving the 117-year-old map so that future generations can appreciate it. Numerous reputable firms were contacted, as well as the city's framing vendor. Upon identifying the necessary labor and materials to preserve and mount it, it was found that the cleaning, restoring, mounting, and installation of the map in the new council chambers would range from a minimum of $4,000 to a maximum of $4,500, depending on the labor on the preservation side. Both the conservator and framer have agreed to not exceed amounts, as you can see in Exhibits A and C. So the maximum worst-case scenario would be $4,500. Staff is requesting council direction regarding the preservation or continued storage of the map. Should the council approve the restoration, a budget adjustment in the amount of $4,500 would need to be approved. Should the council deny the restoration, staff would just continue storing the map as it is and requests the council's blessing in pursuing donations to see if we can try to find another way to preserve the map. Unfortunately, it's getting to the point where if it's not preserved, it's deteriorating pretty bad. We can't really even unroll it without it starting to flake a little bit. So the conservator that I met with in Oakland actually wrapped it for us in special paper to keep it in better shape as a courtesy. So the staff's here just to respectfully request your direction, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I think if we've got something like this, we need to preserve it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no,
There's no question. That's the need.
Michael, where do we pull funds for to do something like this?
You know, we just pull it out of the general fund reserve, and then hopefully at the end of the year, we'll find a way to bring in the savings. At this point in time, what we'll do is we'll just pull it out of the budget for the the chamber improvement project. And if we go up to 150 and we don't need to pull the extra 5 out, then we don't need the extra 5. If, for instance, we need to go over a little bit, we got that little cushion of the 5,000 that was set aside for this map. But we'll move forward in the hopes of keeping the whole thing within the original 150.
Okay, the only other question I would have would be, do we have to go out to bid to do this, or can we just pick one of them?
No, because it's under $5,000, we're allowed to just go ahead and move forward.
Well, I'd make a motion then that we designate the $4,500 to preserve this map.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Carry on.
Thank you.
Thanks, and it's a great find.
Yeah, I think it's gonna look really nice in new chambers.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Stephanie. Okay, we'll go to item B, authorization to increase the amount of the city council chambers dais project to $55,000.
Well, we've already spent 4,500, so he doesn't get any, sorry.
This was a benefit for your project.
See you,
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The item for you tonight is consider a request for authorization to increase the amount of the City Council Chambers Dais project to $55,000. On July 10th, 2012, City Council awarded a contract for the City Council Chambers Dais project to Acosta & Sons for a total amount including a 10% contingency of $45,000. To date, the project's approximately 50%, and actually we're probably closer to 60% complete. A change order has been approved for the installation of a podium for public speaking at the end of where the staff sits for $4,100, which is within the scope that was approved previously. During construction, staff has identified a need for some additional cabinetry work. This request is for authorization to increase the contract for an additional $10,000 to cover this work. The funding sources for this would be the same funding source we have for the $150,000 for the entire project, including all of the audio-visual data and electrical. It would be out of the water, sewer, and capital facility fees, I believe. Therefore, staff recommends City Council authorize an increase in the Council Chambers Dais project in the amount of $10,000. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions of Garner?
Just take it out of your budget.
Take it out of my budget.
It's still,
It's
we're
coming
not
out of my
increasing the
budget.
150.
Good.
It's just,
We're not increasing the 150.
It's just that when we approve the contract, we put a maximum amount on there, and we couldn't exceed that without your authorization. So we're not asking for you to allocate any additional funds on this request to the
Just
project.
to
So
increase
it's
it.
still 150, it's
It's
just,
still 150, or 155 with the 5 you just added, but.
well, then
Now you
then
snuck that
then
right
he
in
can
there.
only have 5,000 then.
the contingency.
You snuck that one in there, didn't you?
Boy, sneaky, ain't they?
I know.
I tell you.
It's coming out of
Just take
my
it out of
budget.
his salary
Yours?
increase.
It's gonna look,
Out of his salary? I'd make no
No,
motion.
he said salary increase, so I didn't get one, so.
you know the chamber's gonna look nice, so
Yeah. First class.
it's gonna be nice.
council direction?
I'll make a motion that we increase the, what is it? The city chamber dais project by $10,000 to accommodate the new cabinetry.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item C is adopt resolution 2012 next in number, a resolution awarding the city engineering services contract to Govea Engineering Incorporated and authorize city manager to sign agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. As you stated, the item for you tonight is consider adopting a resolution awarding the city engineering services contract to GoVA Engineering Incorporated. City of Newman contracts for our city engineering services on an as-needed basis. Typical services include subdivision map, final map, parcel map reviews, some environmental or legal description assistance, design and preparation of plan and specifications for our public works projects, construction observations, and things of that like. The existing contract has been in place for 3 years, therefore it's time to bid the services to ensure that our services remain competitive. City advertised and received sealed formal proposals for the services on July 17, 2012. A total of 3 qualifying proposals were submitted. Of the 3, city staff interviewed 2 of the consulting firms and selected the most qualified firm to be GoVA Engineering Incorporated. Proposed contract would be for 1 year with the option for 2 one-year renewals, provided that the firm is still providing exceptional service to the city. The estimated cost for this, we do budget about $20,000, but most of the costs associated with this are paid through either the developer or through grant funds and things of that nature. But we do budget $20,000 in our budget for this work. Therefore, staff recommends City Council adopt a resolution awarding the city engineering services contract to GoVA Engineering Incorporated with the inclusion of option for 2 one-year extensions. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions of Garner? Seeing none, direction?
I make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2012, next in number, awarding the city engineering services contract to Mario Gouvet Engineering, Inc.
I second that motion.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be watching.
Item
D, what is this? More money?
Yeah, you notice that every time
Every
he steps
time-
up here?
Item D is adopt resolution number 2012, next to number, resolution awarding street sweeping services contract to Advanced Building Cleaners Incorporated.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor. Item for you tonight is to not ask for an increase, but to discuss the awarding of street sweeping services contract to Advanced Building Cleaners Incorporated. City of Newman contracts for our street sweeping services for all our public streets within the city. Regular street sweeping services provide a health and aesthetic benefit to the community. This existing contract has been in place for 3 years, therefore, again, it's time to bid those services to ensure the services are remaining competitive. City advertised and received sealed formal bids for the street sweeping services. A total of 4 qualifying bids were received, including with the staff report is a bid tabulation for your review. They have been reviewed and found to be in proper order, with the lowest responsible bidder for this project determined to be Advanced Building Cleaners Incorporated, with a bid amount of an annual contract for $43,608.35 for monthly street sweeping services, bi-monthly sweeping services, and then weekly sweeping services for the downtown district. The proposed contract would be for 3 years with the annual rate of $43,608.35, with the option to extend the contract for 2 additional years, 1 year at a time. Under discussions with the contractor, one thing we're considering with this 3-year extension of the contract would be that there would be a provision in there for gasoline prices, because that is probably the biggest impact on their budget. So if the gasoline prices shoot up like they have, in order to hold this cost at that $43,000, they want a provision in there. If the gas prices go up a certain percentage, then their contract would go up. But if it dropped that same percentage, then we would get a credit or a discount on our rate for that. So that part is still under negotiation with the contractor at this point. It's only fair because the biggest part of their cost is gasoline prices, but we also want to have that flexibility. If they do drop, then we can negotiate that price down. This contract may be extended. In addition to that, they would be extended 2 additional years, 1 year at a time. Therefore, staff recommends City Council adopt a resolution awarding the street sweeping services contract to Advanced Building Cleaners for 3 years in the amount of $43,608.35 annually, with the option for 2 one-year extensions. Is there any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions?
Are they, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Gardner, is this, have we penciled this out to see if we bought our own equipment, how much we'd save? Or if we would save anything?
Before I came to the city did have their own sweeping services and was providing that. And then the city at that time decided to, because of the upgrade of the equipment, there are PM10 regulations we have to comply with and vehicle emissions we have to comply with.
Right.
If I remember correctly, it was in the neighborhood of $600,000 to buy a sweeper to do that, and then to pay the city salary on top of that. Just the $43,000 alone would probably be less than our city salary for 1 employee, if I remember that. Is that correct?
All right.
Yeah, that's about right, because by the time you add PERS, healthcare, and the like in there, the cost really jumps up, and then fuel costs to go on top of it, so.
And insurance, and so, in general, this is a lot cheaper than if we were to buy our own equipment, maintain it, and then hire an employee and pay all the related benefits to that.
Who is our, who does it now?
Currently, the contract just expired, and that was with Contract Sweeping Services out of Stockton.
Okay, biggest question I have, and I have it with whoever was doing it before, and I'll have it with the next ones, is that go down the street after, and I know it's not their fault, but half the street doesn't get swept because there's always something on the street parked, and all you see is curves going down the street, which, so in essence, there's a good portion of the street that's never been swept or being swept. Sweep, that was a good English word. We're gonna add that to the dictionary. But, I've just noticed that, when I've watched them after, it's not their fault, but I'm just wondering, is there anything we can do to actually make the streets get swept completely?
We actually publish a schedule and post it on our website. We send it out once a year. I mean, we can't get people to move their vehicles. All we can do is educate them about what day their street's going to be swept.
Well, I know there's a lot of places that, yes, you can, from 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 a.m., you can't park on certain streets on certain days because the streets are going to be swept.
But if you do that, I think you have to post it, though, correct?
Yes, you do have to post it.
So we would have to post the whole town with no parking between these hour type signage, and I don't know that. I mean, it'd be up to the council, but then you deal with the aesthetics and the visuals and the long-term maintenance of those signs and all the like that goes along with it. I think the best thing we can do is probably try to upgrade our educational process on this, and maybe try to get that word out a little bit more about when those are. Maybe we try to mail them out utility bills once a quarter, every 6 months, to try to remind people what days they're going to be there. But we do work with the contractor about what days they're going to be in town, what days they're going to be swept, where they're going to be sweeping, and we develop a map accordingly. So.
And I understand that. The only thing is I know, especially when leaves are falling, you'll have areas where, and then if it rains, it's just a big mess because it's never been touched.
Sure.
So and that's why I was just wondering if there's any way that we could, and if education works, that's fine.
Well, we'll step up our inserts in our utility bills and do a little on that. Also, I just want to remind the council that 2 years ago, when we renegotiated our refuge collection contract, there's now a fee in there that allows the reimbursement of these costs. So this is actually not hitting our general fund anymore because of the fact that we're able to collect that through our contract and franchise fee agreement.
And in addition to that, there's been instances where we've had, Councilmember Davis can remember when she reported that brush was on the street and got there and picked it up, so the sweeper would be able to get through there and do that. But if there's targeted neighborhoods that we're having problems, especially during leaf pickup, we can step up the education in those neighborhoods.
They don't always have the brushes down. Some neighborhoods, they're up this time and they're down eventually. And they're supposed to touch the ground all the time, aren't they?
Right now, there's not supposed to be any brush out and about, and we have been going out and trying to get those people to get that brush removed. If we don't get it done at a certain time, then we'll go out and do it and bill them for it.
No, I didn't mean brush. I mean the brushes on the sweeper aren't
Oh,
always
the
touching
brushes.
the cement, the street.
In our contract, we do have a provision in there that it's pretty specific on what their sweepers are supposed to do, and the water and the dust control and the brushes, and if we inspect it and find that the brushes need to be replaced, then they're required to replace them. In addition to that, we have a provision in the contract now that if we get a complaint, they have a certain time to resolve that. If they do not resolve that, then we can fine them $100 per event on that. But they do have a parameter in there that they get a chance to correct that. And part of it will be that if the brushes are not touching and we see that, they will correct that.
Where else is ABC? What other cities or areas are they involved in right now? Do you know of any?
Yeah, their business offices, I understand, are right at the edge of the city of Ceres city limits. Are approximately 20 to 30 minutes from here. They have swept, if I remember correctly, the contractor is here, but they have had contracts in Ceres, if I believe. Is that correct? What other agencies have you swept for?
Delmar, Lathrop, Jason's the largest.
Okay.
Los Banos.
And you're in Ceres for 18 years? They've been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, I know them because when I was in Ceres, but but I just want to make sure that I know he understands that, because in Ceres they had that same problem, and others where you'll have 5 cars parked in a row and you have to go around them. They get upset when you try to go through them. So
Sometimes it's difficult to get our customers to comply.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Council direction.
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution number 2012 next in number, awarding the street sweeping services contract to Advanced Building Cleaners Incorporated.
I second that motion.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item E is adopt resolution number 2012 next in number, resolution supporting the display of national motto "In God We Trust" in the Newman Council chambers in a prominent location above the seal. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. It's back in July 30th of 1956. The wording "In God We Trust" was adopted by Congress as a national motto for the United States of America. About a decade ago, the city of Bakersfield voted to proudly and prominently display this motto in their chamber. A few years later, a council member from Bakersfield started a nonprofit to try to get the national motto, these words "In God We Trust," try to get them installed in each of the council chambers across America. To date, there are 91 cities in California, including Turlock and Waterford in our county. All the cities and the county in Kern County have voted yes to the resolution that's attached to your package. Altogether, there's 297 cities that have adopted this resolution in support of "In God We Trust," and placing it in in their council chambers. So as we move forward with our council chamber improvement project, and we're getting ready to move into that in about a month now, we're asking for your direction on placing In God We Trust in a prominent place. And as I apologize, I didn't get the pictures as part of our PowerPoint today, but I showed you the pictures. We would have the city logo, and then above it, it would say In God We Trust, and then that would sit behind the dais and squarely and prominently displayed in our council chamber. So with that, there's some package here, some informational package that was put together by the nonprofit, things that they do in an effort to help cities make this decision. So we're asking for your direction tonight with respect to this. And I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Michael?
Just one, Michael. If we give you the go-ahead, how long is it going to take to get something like that accomplished?
It'll be ready by your first meeting.
Okay, good. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2012. Next number, a resolution supporting the display of the national motto, In God We Trust, in the Newman Council Chamber, and a prominent location above the seal.
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item F is discussion regarding Newman Youth Baseball / softball.
Thank you, Mayor. As you may recall, it was in December of last year, the city council elected to appoint 3 members to the Newman Little League Baseball Softball Board. As part of our agreement with those 3 members, they obviously agreed to sit down with staff and then the mayor, and we debriefed on the year. Following that conversation, there still were a lot of issues that I think occurred this year. They had some concerns moving forward. As you know, it was a 2-year appointment, and they weren't sure how the board was going to be able to work together. Last night, however, the baseball board met, and one person was voted through their bylaws was voted out of their position, and not one of our appointees. It was one of the original 4 members was voted out. So at this point in time, I've had a discussion with our 3 appointees, or at least one of the appointees, who's kind of speaking for all 3. They believe that should make the board a little bit more successful moving forward. What it also does, though, is it gives them a 3-2 voting appointment edge right now, because they're going to have to vote somebody in to take that place. Consistent with the Little League bylaws, the president only votes in case of a tie. So our 3 members are going to probably try to find someone that they believe will be very supportive of the city's goal of having a functional Little League board that's working in the best interest of the community and the best interest of the youth of this community. And so at this point in time, I would just recommend we table this item until a future date in case something happens. Should, at some point in discussion with the board members, if they believe that, that board's not going to be functional, there may be a case to where I may have to recommend to the council that, we not renew a contract for the fields, and that maybe we initiate our own baseball league. There would be a cost set up involved with that, but as you know, our rec leagues, we run soccer and we run and basketball programs, and while they're not incident free, we don't hear a lot of the same issues that occur in those sports as baseball. Now, we all understand baseball is our national pastime. Tempers get heated. A lot of things occur on there, and they're a little bit different than soccer and baseball, but that's no reason why our youth should suffer because of the adults. So again, at this point in time, unless the mayor has something else, I think we should just go ahead and table this, and I'll continue to keep in conversation with the board to make sure that they think that things are going to be moving forward in a functional and a proper manner that again, that allows the league to function properly and to allow for the best opportunity for our youth to enjoy baseball in a stress-free manner.
Michael, when do we renew the contract?
We won't renew it till after the first of the year.
Okay. So hopefully by then,
Yeah, what'll happen is the board needs to close out this year, and that'll occur over the next couple months into December, and then in January they're going to recruit for a new member and vote a new member in. In the meantime, they'll close out this year. They'll close out the financials. They'll do inventory of assets, and then they're going to start developing schedules for next year as well. So that's how that's going to occur. So,
Michael, do we have an opt-out agreement in that contract?
that contract, they had to vacate everything out of their all their stuff out of the building by this month. The contract expires at the end of August. So basically from September 1 through whenever we renew another contract, there is no existing contract.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of do we want to enter into another contract with them, and we do annual contracts, and the contracts generally extend from baseball usually starts around March, and we run it through August because baseball really goes into July. We give them a month to get cleaned up and get out, and then boom, it closes down.
I don't know about staff time and what it would take, but can we, would it be possible to us to be able to look at a side-by-side cost comparison for them running it as compared to the city running it like we do soccer? And
if the city elected to form our own baseball league and to use the field, it'd be my recommendation. We just appoint a board similar to what they have in place and allow them to run it, and we wouldn't necessarily have Stephanie House run it like we run baseball or run basketball and soccer, because they're two different animals. And soccer is a one day a week games. Same thing with basketball. We play on Sundays and that's it. Baseball, we play all week long. There's a lot of capital cost that goes in there. So again, I would just say we would just put our own board in place. They would pick up where the old board left off. Really, the question would be, and Tom's not here, but we've asked him this question: if that happens, what happens to the assets of the former league and under their nonprofit status? Do they have to liquidate that? Can they transfer that to the city because we are, in essence, a nonprofit? So those are some of the answers that Tom will come back to us on. And it's just at this point in time, we don't necessarily aren't pursuing that matter, but
it's hope that they will be able to settle. Well, I think we sent a clear message that the board needs to function together and work together rather than fight and fight amongst themselves, and the kids suffer out of the whole thing because the board can't get along, and the old board didn't like the new board, and when there was a move to put more power on their side, it was just a complete mess. So the board took action amongst themselves, so hopefully it will straighten itself out as well, and they'll appoint a fourth member who will see that for the betterment of the program and the kids, it's better to get along rather than fight.
I know, of course, my grandson, this was his first year to play, and I heard it from the parents because I was out there at every game,
That's
field stuff and, where they were playing and how they were setting things up, and it was just, one thing right after another.
And the league does have some challenges because it's growing. There's over 400 now participants in the league. We just don't have enough fields for 400 participants. So as Councilmember Hutchins was alluding to, is there are some T-ball games that occur in grass areas and not necessarily on regulation playing fields. And at some point in time, you got to at least get them on some of the regulation fields so they can play. So maybe that occurs by using some of the school facilities. Barrington has a facility out there. We need to start looking at some more options there about how to generate enough field usage so we can accommodate everybody.
I know one of the board members told me we don't want to use Barrington because it's not close enough to the snack bar for us to make money. Literally, that was the statement.
Well, the problem is, the people on the board really are not, they don't know why they're on the board. They should understand they're on there for the youth of this town, not for their own personal reasons and things like that, which is sad. So I think the board members should be screened. I just can't believe people that get on these boards that have their own agenda, and it's not the children, it's not the kids playing, and that's a sad thing.
I think that was the reason why we placed 3 members on that board.
Yeah. To
Just
kind
for
of
that
water
reason.
that down, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, so, but this has been going on for, ever
Too
since
long.
I've been on here.
Yeah.
Not gonna stop.
Well, hopefully it'll come to a stop, so, thanks, Michael, and you'll just continue to monitor that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, item 11, the supervisor's not here, so we'll go to item 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. The filing period for city council elections has closed. No new people have chosen to run for the election. There only are incumbents. So the mayor, who is up for re-election, will retain his seat. Councilmember Davis and Mayor Pro Tem Martina will also retain their seat. We're asking our legal advisors right now to looking to see if we actually need to have an election. It's probably an election that's $3,000 to $4,000 in cost. If we don't have to have it, can we not have that and skip that cost? There will obviously be some cost to the city because they've done some work for us, but we can save that money. Soccer is officially on its way. It looks like practices are starting this week. So the season begins the Saturday after the Fall Festival. So we'll have the Fall Festival in one weekend, and the Saturday following, soccer will be occurring at Sherman Park. Generally about 8:30 in the morning to about 1:30. They're usually out of there. So, and then lastly, next Tuesday evening, I'll be going to Modesto. West Park project will be up before the Board of Supervisors. As you are probably aware, they are in breach of their contract with the county. I have not heard if they've deposited the money they're required to deposit at this point in time.
It's about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
And they had not.
Yeah. So, I just kind of keep an eye on the.
Did you ever think they were gonna deposit them?
I didn't. In fact, when the mayor and I attended that meeting that night, we told them, because when you read the letter, he submitted a letter, and when you read the letter, the author was very crafty and said a trustee has placed $1 million into an account. He didn't say who. He does a lot of. He's probably got a lot of clients, so we didn't think it was going to be there. In fact, we actually told. We really honed in on Supervisor Casea, and really started focusing in on him, because we kind of thought that he would be the swing vote. And we talked to him about those things. We told him the environmental cannot get done in 6 months. You can't write a full environmental impact report that quickly on a project this big when they haven't even determined what their solutions are for water and sewer and storm drainage. So we knew it wasn't going to happen, so we tried to tell them that. But sometimes people just got to go through the process. So in our discussions yesterday with our supervisor, he's pretty confident that they're probably going to be found in breach of contract and the contract terminated. So, but until I see the vote, because it takes 3. It's going to take 3 people to overturn that. And as of, again, I believe yesterday, Supervisor Withrow had not heard back from the FPPC yet on a ruling of whether or not he had to exclude himself from those deliberations. So without him, then you're on down to 4. But even though at 4, you still got to have the 3. 2 to 2 does not cancel that contract. So I think Supervisor Chiesa is going to be the swing vote again. So it'll be interesting to see, where he goes on that. But I think at this point in time, I think the supervisors have pretty much had enough let down on that. So, but again, that'll be next Tuesday evening at the in Modesto, and I'll report back to you afterwards. So that's all that I have at this point in time.
Any questions or comments for Michael? Staff, chief, anything?
Just real quick, most of you have probably seen the 1208 Merced is still there. We were in touch with PG&E, and then they informed us about a week after they actually went in and capped it that we had to follow up email with them. Garner was emailing them and said, when are you going to get out here? And they're like, oh, we already came and went. So we are in contact with Modesto Sand and Gravel, and they will be out here August 23rd to start the demolition.
Great.
So they're going to try to move it quicker if they can fill in a time slot for us, but August 23rd is when they still will be out. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions, chief? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Stephanie, anything?
Just wanted to remind everybody and announce to those who don't know, we have a planning commission meeting this Thursday. Some minor housekeeping as a part of our citywide rezoning that occurred last year. Some of the public comment period was to rezone the west side of the 1000 block of N Street to professional office as opposed to general retail commercial, to kind of respect the adjacent residential uses on Main Street. So it'll be the rezoning of 7 parcels from C2 to PO. Planning Commission will review that, and if they so agree, they would recommend that to council, just so you have a little idea of what's coming down the pipeline.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Stephanie? Thank you. Garner.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just a quick update. Earlier this week, the mayor and the city manager and I went to Sacramento and met with the Department of Water Resources, DWR, to talk about potential funding for the Orastema flood control project. Interesting dealing with those folks. They have $300 million, $330 million. We're trying to get some money to get the design going, but we may run into some issues with that. One of the big issues that we may run into is that they need to get a legal opinion on if they can change the guidelines in order to even fund the design of this type of a project. We're supposed to get a legal opinion on that. I believe they said in a couple weeks. Was it a month? I can't remember quite.
They said about a month.
About a month. If that rules in our favor that we can move that forward, then we may have an opportunity to move forward on the design. In the meantime, we're going to move forward getting the public administrative draft out for review, get the chief's report completed, which all of that will include, and get at least the environmental part of it done. They are looking for a local sponsor. The design is estimated at about $6 million. Construction's about up to $48 million, depending on the level of the flood control that we want to put in for that project. With DWR, what we're looking and hoping for was that we'd be able to get a local match from them and hopefully get our costs down in the range of $2 to $3 million for the design of this project. If everything falls in line and we are able to get the change of the guidelines, get the chief's report completed on time, we may be looking at a funding deadline of July of 2016. We need to have all this ready and in place prior to that in order to get that funding set aside. In order for that to happen, though, we also need state and federal authorization for the project. So all of these things need to happen in line. A little pessimistic on my side on this, that may not happen, but we're still going to proceed forward, at least to get the chief's report done, the public administrator's draft done, and the environmental part of that, so we can have a project that's ready if funding, for example, if a award of funding becomes available. So that's kind of a quick update. I don't know if there's anything that I missed on that, on our meeting. It's kind of a quick summary.
Yeah, kind of a quick nutshell. There's a lot of talking going on.
There's a lot of talking going on.
Yeah, and I, DWR, I thought, I expected to be a total cold shoulder, but I didn't come away that way. I felt
No.
they were really trying to work with us and I think they understand, and but their hands are tied basically by the legislation, which dictates how and where that money can be spent. And when they said, well, we only have $330 million left, it was kind of like, we only need 20, But there's heavy competition for the money, and it has to meet the criteria, and so I came away not totally in the dark. I felt that they felt our pain and were trying to comfort us somewhat, without making any promises.
They did a really good job of explaining their process, and their funding's like ours. Our water is restricted on our funding and our sewer. They have the same thing when it comes to flood control type projects. The Department of Water Resources, their funding is allocated for specific purposes through legislation. They did a great job of outlining that for us and opportunities or maybe potential opportunities coming forward, and also the time frames associated with that. And I agree with the mayor that they did a great job, and they do feel our pain, and they're trying to give us every opportunity if possible. That's all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Carter.
Thank you, sir.
That's it. Brett, you have anything? No? Okay, Don?
Nothing tonight?
Roberta?
Nothing.
Nick?
Nothing.
Bob?
Yeah, I gotta say, I think it's hot August nights on the plaza.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know if many of you attended it, but it was really a nice function, and it really, our plaza being used like that is a perfect venue. And then on the same night, we had a movie night, and I couldn't get anybody to go with me, so I went myself. And the reason I went, I got, you talk about these things, you gotta really go and see what's going on. There was probably 100+ people there, and a lot of families, and it's very, very nice, and they just do a great job. And thank you, Michael, the staff, and everyone who's responsible for this. And
Stephanie House reported there was over 300 people there. Generally, we get
well,
about
I mean,
150.
I don't want to over
Yeah.
exaggerate, but
You said there was probably 350 or more. She said we generally get about 150. It's a good
Call me.
turnout.
yeah.
And it was twice as many. It's very, very hard to
But,
good turnout.
Carl-
Myself does an excellent job with that.
Yeah, Carl one just didn't get it from me,
Yeah.
but it was good. I mean, that's all I have, but it's great that we're able to do things like that in Newman for the public.
Okay, I'd just like to thank and welcome Libya for coming tonight. She filled in for Tom, for Doug, who filled in for Tom, so thank you. And I told you to probably done in about an hour's time, so you can go by and wave Patterson on your way home. So thank you for coming, appreciate it. And with that,
Do you want to say anything about our congressman?
oh, yeah, if you hadn't heard, Congressman Cardoza resigned, effective immediately, actually.
12 o'clock tonight.
Well, yeah, apparently has already accepted employment
Yeah.
somewhere else, and so our district 18 will be without representation until his term expires. So I've gotten several emails from Dee Dee and from Ms. Moore from Ceres.
Melinda?
Actually, from several of the staff members, letting us know that they're here for us. From Lisa, they're here for us if we need anything, and don't hesitate to give them a call. So if you hadn't heard, Dennis has resigned his position, and so we're without a congressman. So,
And if there's anything real pressing, we can always reach out to Congressman Dano, who is up for election as there's a redistricting
Right.
of our area.
right.
Representing Dano
Yeah.
is running for that seat.
And Dennis really did as much as he could from Congress standpoint on the creek project, but of course we always hoped that he could do more for us, and we always felt that the new colonel that came in would be able to do more for us, but it hasn't really moved along that quickly. So it's been 15 years, so what's another 15, I guess? Maybe we'll see some progress. I don't know. But Congress has done away with the monies that, I forget the term that they use. Aunt want to get my piece of cake here. Anyway, there's no money that's set aside for special projects that Congress that Dennis was trying to help us with, to have monies set aside to help with our project. Anyway, Congress has done away with all that funding mechanism, so he did as much for us as he could, and I called him today and thanked him for his help, and so wished him well. So we'll move forward. That's all you can do. So if there's nothing else, we're adjourned.